Hi everyone, and welcome to a Townie Makeover Home Edition, which is a kind of new thing that I want to do here on my channel. It's basically speed renovation, but wanted to call it something a little catchier than that since it is for townies that I've actually already made over, because I did upload my first Townie Makeover video a couple of days ago, and I thought it'd be fun to go in and renovate their home just to make it look a little bit better, make it feel even more personalized for them. And this is something that I want to do from time to time. It's probably not going to be very often, and I don't know if I'm gonna do it in pairs with Townie Makeovers, because my whole reason behind wanting to do Townie Makeovers was just to have something different that's a little quicker to make, that I could upload when things are a bit busy, and just to add a little more variety. So if I'm pairing them with these renovations each time, then that's gonna make it so that's not really the case. So what I might do is just do a couple Townie Makeovers and then go back and do renovations of the homes that I really like, because some of the homes are just complete messes and I don't know if I'm quite up for the challenge of renovating them. Maybe someday, but either way, like I'm not quite sure how I'm going to be doing this, but I'll figure that out as time goes on. Yeah, I think the best thing to do might be to just, not do these for every single Townie makeover, but just the ones whose houses I really like, but we'll figure that out. So anyway, the household that I gave a makeover was the BFF household, so we are giving their house, which is called Garden Essence, a renovation, and I actually really like how this house looks from the get-go. Like, I feel like it's one of the better houses that came with the base game. Like, the furnishing's a little plain, there's not a whole lot to it, but the basic, like, structure of the house is really cute. Like, it's actually a really nice house, so I didn't end up changing the house itself too drastically. Like, I think for the siding, I just changed it from a light blue to a white, because I like how the white looked a little bit more. It's not really much of a change, but I did like the dark blue accents on the house, so I went ahead and kept those and just made the landscaping look a little bit nicer, a little more colorful. I also added some more activities on the outside of the house, because the area that was fenced in on the side originally didn't really have much on it. Like, I think there was like some couches and a table, and I think a table with an umbrella on it, like an eating table and a grill, and that was really about it. Oh yeah, and also some garden boxes, because I guess that's why it has the name Garden Essence, or that might also be because I think there's a community garden right behind it. But yeah, I just filled it in with some more stuff, so there's some more stuff for the Sims to do, and I also added a rocket, one of those rockets that your Sims can make around the side of it, because I didn't realize this, but Liberty Lee is in the astronaut career, so I thought it'd be really good to have one of those for her around the side of the house. And I stuck it on this side because there isn't really anything over here. I wasn't sure what to put here, so I just figured that would be a good spot for that to help fill in things a little bit. Other than that, there's just some trees there, and then on the other side of the house we have a drying rack for clothing and a fire pit and garden boxes, a table to eat at and a grill, and just some couches to sit at. So not too much more than what was there originally, but I did also add some more landscaping in to fill up the space a little bit more. And I was really glad to see, because as I'm sure most of you know, Seasons is coming out in less than a month now. I think it's actually less than 3 weeks away when this video is going up, and it looked from the trailer like they're adding a whole bunch of new outdoor activities. Like, there's going to be, I think, swing sets, and I think you can have your Sims get into beekeeping. Like, I think there's some beehives that you can put out, and some you can make a like a greenhouse. It's been a few days since I watched a trailer, but I think I remember all of that being in there. I have to watch it again to refresh my memory, but I'm just so excited that Seasons is coming out, and it's coming out so soon. Like, I was not expecting that, because there was a day last week when they posted a little teaser where it's just the guy looking at the scarecrow, and people were trying to figure out what it was going to be for, and a lot of people were saying it was going to be for Seasons, and I was thinking that, that made a lot of sense. Like, that did seem like likely to be what it would be, because other than that, the only thing I could think of was like another fall or like Halloween related stuff pack, which we really don't need. Like, we already have Spooky Stuff Pack. Like, that would make no sense that they would be, making another pack like that. So Seasons really seemed to be most likely what it was. And then, of course, the next day, the trailer went up, and it was, of course, Seasons. And I was thinking prior to that if it was Seasons, it probably would not be coming out until July or maybe even August, because it seems like in the past they've announced expansion packs like 2 months before they actually come out, because I think Cats and Dogs was announced the end of August, and then it came out in November, so that was over 2 months later. So I was just so surprised when they put that trailer up and it said June 22nd, which is less than a month from when that went up. Like, that's just so soon, but I think that is good in a way, because they announced it and you're like, oh, I have only like 4 weeks to wait now. It's not like it's announced and then, oh, you have to sit there and wait for 2 months to have that pack, so just that waiting period of knowing this new content is coming and having to wait for it to be here is a lot shorter than usual. And I just cannot wait till it gets here. Like, I'm kind of going through that thing. I think I've heard it referred to as like pre-expansion pack syndrome, I think is what it was. Like, I saw that on the forums before. And it's just that whole thing where you're not quite as motivated to play the game without it, because you're like, well, I don't have seasons now, but if I wait a few more weeks, I'm going to have seasons. So yeah, I'm just really wanting it to be June 22nd, because I feel like this expansion pack is going to be coming with a lot. Like, it seems like, I mean, we don't know much about it at this point, but it seems kind of like it's coming with a bit more gameplay wise than the previous expansion packs have. I mean, at this point, we don't really know much about the pack, and we haven't, so maybe too early to say that, but just from the trailer, it really felt like that, because I know, like, in the cats and dogs one, the focus was, of course, on there being the cats and dogs, and just kind of some of the things they could do, and that your Sims could run a vet clinic. But in this one, I noticed that there's just a bunch of these different little activities and things that I really feel will hopefully add a lot of depth to the game. Like, hopefully it's not going to turn out to be different than that. But I think that's something the game does need, because I know with, like, cats and dogs, like, I do like cats and dogs, but it just felt like outside of the fact that your Sims can have cats and dogs and that they can run a vet clinic, and I guess also having Brindleton Bay, there wasn't really much to it. Like, once you kind of play around with that for a bit, you feel like you've done all there is to do with the pack. So I'm just really hoping that this pack is like something where there's all these little things that you can explore over the time. Like, there's probably some things with cats and dogs that I haven't gotten to yet, but I just remember in The Sims 3, it always felt like there was just all these little details that you just didn't even imagine existed, and then you just uncover them as you play the game, and there's so much to it. And I think that's something that's been missing with some of the packs in The Sims 4, so I'm hoping that this one is a little different. And I believe, like, I haven't read everything that's come out about it so far. Like, I didn't read the thing they put out recently on summer and spring, but I did hear little tidbits of what it is. But yeah, because I think you can have thermostats in your home, and you can change the temperature of it, which is a little detail that's nice. I think you also have customizable holidays. I'm not sure how that works, but I don't know if it's the kind of thing where you can make, like, Christmas in the summer if you want. You can, like, pick which holidays your Sims celebrate, and maybe there's some more whimsical ones. So I'm really excited to learn more about that too, and just having all the different holidays. And I also read that the seasons will blend together. I know there's a lot of people who were really unhappy about there not being any snow depth, because it did turn out that it's not like in the previous games where you can have really deep snow. So that is a little bit of a disappointment, but I don't think that's the hugest deal. Like, there's, I think, a lot more to be excited about than that. I'm just crazy excited for this expansion pack. Like, I think even more excited than I was for cats and dogs, because I've just really been wanting seasons in this game like so many other people have. But anyway, I guess that's enough rambling about seasons. I'm sure I'll talk about it more as we, like, learn more information about it, and I get even more excited about it as we get closer. But we are on to the inside of the house. So I did try to make things look a little bit nicer, and originally I was thinking about going for, like, more of a shabby look, because I imagine that the 3 Sims in this household are fairly young, like maybe fresh out of college, that age, and at that age you're trying to, like, piece together things. But then again, at the same time, they're already on, I think, level 2 or 3 of their career, so they have fairly nice jobs that they're just getting into, and there's 3 of them coming together. So I didn't go quite as shabby as I have with other builds. So I mean, there are some things that don't quite match, but I did decide to just make it feel a little bit nicer. I also kept the layout of the house the same, because this house actually had a layout that worked pretty well, and I did like how big and spaced out the kitchen was, although I do end up with this kind of, like, weird layout where, like, the sink, stove, and refrigerator are all on one wall, and then you just have all this counter across from it. So I don't know, maybe you could have done something better than there, but I also just liked having that island running all the way along across from that, because there was a bit I cut out where I was trying to have, like, an island in the center of it, but I just wasn't liking how it lined up, because if I made it, like, 3 tiles wide, then it wouldn't center in a way I liked, and then if I made it 4 tiles wide, it felt too big, and then it was just too much counter space right in the middle of the kitchen. So I ended up just sticking with how it was before. And I also did like how you had the nook for tables and chairs right in front of the window. I just thought that was really pretty, because I imagine that's a really beautiful window to look out of. And also with the lighting that patch like a couple years ago with the, we can actually see the light from the window. It just looks really nice in that whole area. So I just wanted to keep it, and I wanted to not block that off with counters, so there we go, putting the tables and chairs there. And yeah, the layout of this house is a lot better than some of the other houses that came with the base game, because I know the Spencer Kim Lewis house is like one of the ones that I dread the idea of renovating, because it's such an unusual house. I mean, I think that probably makes it a good house to renovate it, but I just remember the kitchen like having counters in weird spots, and it's just kind of this like weird shape and has very large rooms. But I don't know, maybe that's one I will challenge myself to renovate further down the road. I don't know if I can hear it, but there's actually a really bad thunderstorm going on right now where I am. I don't know, I'm not sure if my microphone's actually picking up the thunder or not. Probably not, but anyway, yeah, I mean, there are some more challenging homes like that came with the base game, just other packs in general that I might tackle renovating, because that was another family that I wanted to give a makeover, and I just really have fun giving the households makeovers. I don't know, the Goths are kind of a classic, but I think it would be fun to try, you know, putting my own spin on them as well, and also perhaps the pancakes. I think they could use a little work as well, and they also have a really cute house. So those are some of the households that I want to renovate myself. Yeah, and also let me know what households you guys would like to see renovated. I know there's a bunch of households in other worlds, of course, but I kind of want to start with just focusing on the base game households for a bit. And then there's also the land grubs and the calientes. And oh, it would be fun to make over one of the houses in Oasis Springs. Like, I think the calientes are the only base game family that lives in one of the more Spanish-styled homes. Because I think it would be fun to renovate one of those using some of the items that came with Jungle Adventure, because so many of those work really well in a house of that style. So that's something else I want to tackle. I don't know, probably getting a little ahead of myself, but those are just some of the ideas I have for things that I want to do. So I have a fun story now. I actually had to stop recording this video, and I'm now coming back a different day to finish it, because you know that storm that I was talking about, the one that I now realize you could very clearly hear the thunder from? Well, I was looking out my window as I was recording, and I realized there was a lot of water coming out of the gutter in one spot, and then I also realized that spot happened to be right above the wall for one of the basement windows, so I thought it would probably be a good idea to stop the recording and go down in the basement just to check on things, make sure everything's good. And as I was walking down the stairs to the basement, I heard the sound of running water, and sure enough, this waterfall had formed between the window and the floor, and water was now very quickly running down the wall and getting soaked up by the floor, because it turns out that window well did in fact fill up with water, and it was now coming through the window. So I start freaking out, and I'm fearing the worst, like that we're gonna have to rip up all this drywall and rip up carpet and replace it to prevent mold from forming. And then my fiance grabs a bucket of water and is like frantically throwing the water out of the window well to stop the leak. And then I had to quickly run to the store to get a ladder, because it turns out what happened was we weren't as good about cleaning the gutters as we should have been. So like leaves or something got jammed right where the spout is, like where it, you know, runs down and drains out into the yard. So much water accumulated in the gutters that one of the nails popped out that keeps it upright. So the water was just like funneling out and all dumping onto the ground at that spot, and it just so happened to be right above a window well. Unfortunately, like if it had been further down, we probably would not have had this problem, but it of course just had to be in just the right spot to cause this kind of issue. So I had to like run to the store really quickly to get a ladder so it could actually get up there and nail it back into place and clear the gutters out. And I had to get a shop vac to vacuum up all the water out of the carpet, because we didn't have one of those at that point. Then I also got like a whole bunch of towels and a box fan to try to dry it out. And I also, like in my frantic state, didn't think about the fact that an 8-foot ladder is not going to fit into my little compact sedan. So like I rolled the ladder up next to my car and realized that it was almost the length of my car, or maybe not almost, like, you know, it was like 3 or 4 feet short of the length of my car. And I ended up just like folding down the back seats and like shoving the passenger seat as far forward as I could. I was trying to get as much of the ladder in my car as possible, and was freaking out about like having to potentially drive home with my trunk open. But fortunately I had a random bungee cord in my trunk, so I just bungee corded the ladder to the lid of my trunk, and everything was fine. I didn't lose any contents of my trunk as I was driving home. So yeah, we got home, and fortunately the shop vac was a miracle worker on trying to get all the water out of the carpet. Like we ended up sucking like 5 gallons worth of water out of the carpet. And the walls also fortunately didn't get that wet either, so I think we're actually going to be good. I think the thing that helped was that I actually caught it pretty quickly, because I think water had probably only been running down the wall for less than 10 minutes, so it didn't have a chance to sit and soak in, because once we stopped the leak, we just toweled everything off. The wall was like completely dry. It's a day later and the wall still feels solid. There's no weird swelling or anything going on. So I think we're good. And the carpet's also at this point pretty much dry because we just sat there for like 2 or 3 hours taking the shop vac and getting as much water out of it and towel drying it and pointing fans at it and stuff. And I also learned this really handy trick for drying carpet where you cut an X shape into the carpet and then you stick the blower end of the shop vac under the carpet and then you just blow the air between the padding and the carpet. So unfortunately you might mess up your carpet a little bit doing this, but it was actually really helpful in drying out the carpet. So the area where we did that is actually like completely dry now. So like fortunately a day later like everything's completely dry. So I think we're good. I don't think we're gonna have to replace anything. I'm hoping no mold forms, because that was one of my biggest worries with this, because mold of course is really bad for you. And I've also seen what can happen when you do get water in the house and you don't clean it up right away. Because I talked about this like back when I was looking for houses, how I went to this one house where it flooded and they didn't clean it up. So there was just black mold on the walls and the floors and the ceilings, and it was just really, really bad. But yeah, I don't think that's going to be the case. Like, I'm pretty sure the drywall is completely dry, because also the water was running right over an outlet, which was freaking me out. But fortunately, the water was running over the outlet and it didn't get inside of it, because we took the cover off the outlet and there was hardly any water in it. And then also felt the drywall that we could feel from there, and then that felt completely dry. So I think we dodged a bullet there. It could have been a lot worse than it was. I think the best thing was that I was like sitting where I could easily see that the gutter was overflowing, and I thought to go downstairs and look, because what could have happened was I didn't go down into the basement at all that night, and then we find out the next day that this had happened, and it would have been just way, way worse. So yeah, I'm thankful for that. That's just like one of those unfortunate things that happens, like where you get a new house and you're kind of learning the quirks of it and like the things that you have to watch out for, because I didn't even think about the gutters overflowing and then it filling up the window well until I looked out the window and realized that you know, like the nail had popped down, that was the thing that could happen. But now we know what to watch out for. We know to like make sure the gutters are clear and keep on top of that. And you know, when it's raining really heavily, check that the gutters aren't, the nails haven't popped out and they're not funneling water out in the wrong spot. And we also now have a shop vac, which is something I've been wanting to get for a while now. It's kind of funny how you end up getting this stuff because something goes wrong. Like, that's just how you accumulate things for your house like that. And then another kind of funny thing is that we did kind of know that we needed to clean out the gutter, and my fiance actually had a reminder on his phone for this weekend to buy a ladder and clean out the gutters. But unfortunately, Mother Nature just decided to dump a ton of rain on us before the weekend. So yeah, the joys of being a homeowner. Can't wait to have this kind of weather in The Sims, although at least in The Sims you won't have water getting into your basement, at least. I don't think so. That's probably not a feature they're gonna add, and I don't think that's a feature that I would even want in the game. Like, water getting into your basement is one of the most annoying things with homes, so like I would not want to have to deal with that in The Sims. But yeah, I'm just glad things didn't end up going worse, because things could have gone better. We could have cleaned out the gutters and not had this happen, but it also could have gone worse. So that's what I'm trying to focus on more. And at least we now have something in our homeowner's knowledge bank to watch out for. But anyway, we are on to the bedrooms in this house now, and I've already furnished Travis's room, and I really like how it turned out. I kind of kept I think a similar color scheme to what I had before, because before it had blue walls, but I just added some orange walls for a little bit of an accent. Also gave him a double bed instead of just that single bed that he had before, and added a TV with a video game system in there, because yes, as a base game, we've of course gotten video game systems, so I thought that was something so perfect to have in this house. So we have a system out in the living room, we have a system in Travis's room, and then we also have one in Liberty's room, which is probably a little unnecessary. Like, I probably should have taken the one out of the living room, but I figured like they could just be different video game systems, and they had one that I know they're like the same, but you know, in real life you have like Xbox and PlayStation, so you know, maybe like one's in the bedroom and then the other one's put out in the living room for everyone, like the one that they care about less, you know, that kind of a thing. But anyway, with Liberty's room, I went with a different color scheme than what it originally was, because before the walls were red, and also I didn't really like the furnishing of a room that much, because there was a lot of kids furniture in it, which, you know, I guess why I see Liberty's being kind of quirky and playful, I just felt like having kids furniture didn't really suit a young adult that well. So I try to keep a bit of that fun vibe in this room, but just added more adult-like furniture to it. I also went with a bright purple color on the walls mixed with grays in some spots, just because, as I discussed in the makeover video for this household, I see bright yellow and bright purple being Liberty's favorite color, so I wanted to incorporate that into this room a little bit, but I realized that having both the yellow and the purple on the wall was just a little bit too loud, and I prefer the purple a bit, so I left that as the accent color on the walls. But I did try to add orange, or not orange, yellow touches here and there, like with the lamp and the calendar and the mirror, just to incorporate that room into it, just to incorporate the color into the room a bit. And I really like her room. Like, her room is definitely my favorite of the rooms that I furnished, and she also has the nicest room, that's the biggest. And I also added a bunch of science type posters to her room in that rocket model because she is in the astronaut career, so I just wanted to incorporate that a little bit. Like, I imagine her having this love of science. And another thing I did just to make things look a little bit better is that I went in and I changed the color of the lamps in the mirror to gold just to bring more of that yellow in, and plus there was enough white going on there with the bed and the table, so I thought just breaking that up with more of a gold color would be better. But we are on to the last room, which is of course Summer's, and with her room, I was trying to go for this mix of just elegant and sporty at the same time, because I feel like that's just the kind of vibe that Summer gives me. So we have this really nice canopy bed, but then we also end up having a bunch of sports posters throughout the room, and then I also stuck a treadmill in there because she is athletic, so I saw her wanting to just have something in a room that she could use to work out, because there really isn't any space in the common area of this house for a treadmill. And I mean, she could go out into the neighborhood and jog around, but you know, we are getting seasoned, so with the rain, you might not want to be out in the neighborhood jogging when it's rainy. So yeah, I just thought that'd be something good to add into her room, and I'm just really happy with how this room turns out. And I also did this thing with sticking that jungle adventure mirror above the dresser, which is something I've seen a few other people do, and I just thought that was a really good idea. But we are nearing the end of the building portion of the video, so as usual, if you want to download this, there will be a link in the description to do so, as well as other information in there on how to download it in-game. And that is going to be all for me, so I hope you enjoyed the rest of the video.